it may cost you more money to file your taxes this year. Let me explain. Have you ever used TurboTax? If you have, you know how expensive and how annoying filing your taxes with them can be. So for years, I've had a radical idea. You should be able to file your taxes for free directly with the government. After all, you got to pay your taxes, so why should you also have to pay someone else to help you do it? And don't even get me started on the way that these tax prep companies upcharge you and end up selling your data. The whole process makes no sense. And that is why, after years of organizing and pressure, we finally got the IRS to start a program last year called Direct File. Here's Hassan Minhaj to break it all down.
Hi, I'm Hassan Minhaj. On my Netflix show Patriot Act, we exposed how awful and terrible TurboTax is. During tax season, they take advantage of innocent taxpayers like yourself. I had a website called TurboTaxSuccess.com to expose TurboTax and show you how you could file your taxes for free. Unfortunately, TurboTaxSuccess.com has now been taken over by internet squatters, and I, Hassan Minhaj, do not negotiate with GeoCities internet squatters. The IRS now has a website called Direct File, where you can file your taxes for free directly with the IRS.
That's right. Direct File will let you file your taxes directly with the IRS. And the best parts? Well, it's online, it's secure, it's easy, and it's free. So what actually happened? Did the reality of Direct File live up to the hype? Yep. People love Direct File. 98% of taxpayers who use the program were either satisfied or very satisfied with their experience. 98%. People liked it better than ice cream. Look it up. And once it was fully operational, Direct File was projected to save taxpayers $23 billion a year, not to mention hours of hassle. Everyone loved it. Oh, not quite. Tax prep companies hated it. Why? Because it cost them money. Even before Direct File became a reality, Intuit, the company that owns TurboTax and H&R Block, which is another big tax prep company, they spent millions trying to tank the program. Then Donald Trump got elected, and Intuit donated $1 million to Donald Trump's inauguration. Here it comes. Surprise, surprise. A few months later, reports come out that Donald Trump and Elon Musk want to kill Direct File. And this month, the Trump administration officially delivered and ended it. Come on, this looks a lot like plain vanilla corruption. People loved Direct File. It saved time, it saved money. But Donald Trump, once again, chose to help his corporate buddies instead of working families. And that says pretty much everything you need to know about who Trump's government actually works for. And if you follow the money, you'll learn even more. Because corporate lobbying didn't just end Direct File, it's pushing Trump to change even more parts of the tax code. So, at the same time they're making it more expensive for you to file your taxes, Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress are just bending over backwards to make the tax code work better for the rich and powerful everywhere.
Because you're all people that have a lot of money. I know 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts.
So let's talk about what Trump has done for these people who have a whole lot of money. In his big, beautiful bill, Trump cut health care for millions of Americans in order to pay for tax giveaways for millionaires, billionaires, and giant corporations. They spent $1 trillion on giveaways to corporations alone. And I say giveaways because these things really are basically just handouts. Here's just one example. Part of Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill gives corporations tax handouts to, quote, incentivize research. But here's a catch. It's for research that those companies already did as far back as 2022. Now, as far as I know, these giant companies don't have a Wayback Machine. So tell me, how are these tax breaks going to incentivize research that already happened years ago? And they're not. So to give you a sense of how big these giveaways are, the federal government is planning to hand out $67 billion in tax breaks to corporations like Tesla and Apple next year. Because, yeah, those are the guys who really, really need a handout. And to put those billions into perspectives, that is 5 times what the federal government spends on child care every year. 5 times. So while your taxpayer dollars should be going toward things that actually help you and that lower your costs, instead, they're doing giant giveaways to Amazon and Meta instead. Oh, and there is more. Here's another example. Trump is currently working to get rid of a tax that literally applies only to billionaire corporations. So back up a sec. In 2022, Democrats raised taxes on corporations for the first time in 30 years. But it wasn't just any corporation. This law put a 15% minimum tax on the profits that corporations reported to their shareholders if the corporation made over $1 billion in a year, which meant no more bragging to their wealthy investors about what their profits were and then turning around and telling the IRS, oh, we're too poor to pay taxes. Because, yeah, that was the thing. And look, the tax makes a lot of sense. While you pay your fair share in taxes, these giant corporations are raking in record profits and often paying little or nothing in taxes. In 2018, Amazon paid 0 in federal income taxes. 0, nothing. And they aren't the only ones. Since the 1950s, corporate profits as a share of the economy have nearly doubled, but their federal income tax has fallen by half. So the minimum corporate tax for billionaire corporations was a common sense fix. But now, Donald Trump is trying to add so many loopholes that this minimum tax basically won't exist. And he's not even bothering to get Congress on board. Billionaire corporations are lobbying his administration to create loophole after loophole after loophole so they can get out of the tax. Remember, we're talking about the biggest corporations in America, corporations making over $1 billion. Look, it's really just a couple of hundred massive companies, and Donald Trump is doing whatever they want. And now the cherry on top. At the same time, the Trump administration is firing the workers who stop the rich and powerful from cheating on their taxes. Apparently, it is not enough to change the law to help the millionaires and billionaires and giant corporations. Trump's people are literally making life easier for rich people who cheat on their taxes. Really, making life easier for the people who use tax dollars to subsidize their private jets and super yachts. This is wrong. I know the tax code isn't sexy, but here's why it's so important. The federal government gets 95% of its revenue from taxes. The tax code determines how much money we have for things like Social Security and Medicare, child care and public education, roads, bridges, an upgraded transit system. In short, taxes reflect our values. Taxes show what and who we value enough to collectively invest in. And Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress are rigging today's tax code even further to increase wealth for a handful of the wealthy and well-connected at the expense of everyone else. I think that's wrong, and I hope you do too, because now is the time to organize and fight back.